I got the manual, and we'll go through. In the service manual and in the operator's manual, you have the checks and when they are supposed to come. So at the initial 600 mile on this first column up here, check and adjust engine idle, speed, and synchronization. We just did that. Everything was fine, so I can check that off. Next thing down is front rear brakes, rear brake lock, which we'll get into. Check the bearing for the steerings, and we just did that, and everything's fine for that one. Side stand switch, we'll get to that. Engine oil, we already changed oil and the filter. And check for leakage. I haven't had any. There's no drips on my floor. We'll do the front brakes, switches, and the control cables. I haven't washed it yet. I guess I'm bad. But it's been out of the weather. It's never been rained on, and it's never really ridden in the rain. So I'm not expecting any washout from oils or whatever, but I will do that a little bit later. I'm going to do some inspections to see if I can oil the cables and stuff in an easier way. Let's see, lights, signals, and switches. Signals and switches, I check those every time I ride. Before I go out, I look for the water level height, the oil level height. I turn on the turn signals both directions, high beam, low beam. I flick both brake switch or levers to make certain that the first off that the tail light's on, and then I'll flick each brake lever and then hold my hand up and I can see the flashes on that. So I know everything is pretty much hunky-dory before I go, so I'm not going to get into that. But there's a couple things I wanted to check. The front of the front wheel off the ground just a bit. I put my floor jack with a piece of wood under the front of the block, and it balanced up pretty good. It's spread over the whole a lot of area, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. Now I'm going to grab the front forks and give it a little bit
now I want to grab both sides, get them centered up here, and grab both sides of the fork. It's nice and smooth, and I can feel no head play, so that's a plus. Got that done.
Okay, this is the front right brake, and if you're really quiet, you can hear the brake light switch operate, and it's got enough range, and it doesn't feel mushy. I've got good feel to it. Yeah, if I put it too close, I'm going to tip me over the bars. The other thing you want to check for is the level right here, and it should be above this line. It's completely full on both sides, so that's fine. Both of them are fine on the brakes.
Pads go. I've only got over 800 miles on it, and I hardly ever use the brakes other than when I'm trying to hold myself on a hill or whatever. The T-Max has such good engine braking, and I just don't go fast. The only time I really brake hard is if I'm coming off a freeway and come to a stop sign or a car in front of me, and then it's like, whoa, you get this different speed perspective between the scooter and the car. And so when you come in, double check to make certain that you're slowed, that you don't have to panic and do a nose stand by grabbing a full set of front brakes.
Okay, for the throttle, for adjusting the linkage, I had a tape on the throttle handle itself, and then on the housing, and that's the amount of free play I have in it. And say to have 3 to 5 millimeters, which would be between here and there, and I'm right at 5 millimeter, and I don't want to adjust it. But to adjust the throttle cable, you would want to pull this sheathing back, and there's some lock nuts underneath you'd open up, and then screw it so that the sheath would go in that direction. Put more tension on the sheath will reduce the amount of play in the throttle. So, yeah, I'm happy. That's good. Okay, the test for the side stand switch, and you can pretty much do it anytime you're out riding, is just to get the car or the bike running, and it should die. Okay, on the brake lock, you've got this lever here, and they say to set it for a bit, like 5 minutes, and then release it. Like I said earlier, I hardly ever use this thing, so here it's off, and it's supposed to be between 45 and 47 millimeters between these two parts, and it is at 45 and a half, so we're okay on that.
Okay, we finished our 600 mile checkup, even though I got about 800 miles. I did change the oil at 600.
but it was too nice weather to get out like you can see today. But I'd much rather be outside tuning this thing up in the sunshine than in here asphyxiating myself. Now I get to put all this back together, and then as you can see, it's nice to have a big bench so everything can be laid out. And I've still got a couple panels. There's one panel outside. I'm washed and drying off the lower bottom cowling to get it clean. So now I get the honor of putting this all back in. I don't foresee any need to videotape this. It'll pretty much go back together the way it has. I think my next big thing is to find out what's underneath the handlebar cover. From Maxi Muppets, there's a lot of discussion about whether or not you can hook up a satellite navigation system to possibly the grip heaters. And I don't know if there's plugs in there or not. I've heard there are, and I've heard they're not, so we'll see. Until then, big wheel's turning out.